Well, hello, dudes. How's it going? How's it hanging? How's it swinging? Is it low and slow or high and tight? You know, it doesn't fucking matter because we're gonna be alright. How are you, beautiful beings of light, doing today? I have a very, very a muy bien treat for you today. We're going to be speaking to Monsieur Professor. What is wrong with me today? Odi. My man's took the torch of emotional intelligence and just like ran with that whole bitch. And we are here to just chit chat. I hope you guys sit back, relax, learn something. Don't waste your fucking time. Take something away from this conversation. But yeah, I'm so happy that you guys are here. Thank you so much for your continuous support on this young motherfucker's dream to raise the global consciousness and help people heal themselves to save this raggedy fucking bitch that we're all floating on right now. Anyway, the house rules are gonna come up pretty soon. Remember, nobody likes a bully. Put your comments and your thoughts and your trials and tribulations down below in the comment section. I'll be super curious to hear everyone's opinion on this one. But all in all, I love you. You matter. And I'm so happy that you are here to take this ride with us. All right, strap in, babes. Pull them panties up! How are you doing today? We're fucking depressed. we're pressing on. We're pressing through. I'm so hungry. Fuck. I should have ate. I should have ate. Fuck. I should have ate. I'm gonna die, y'all. Alright, so I have a very special someone who would like to speak to the masses who be shaking asses. Let me be serious. I can't be serious for shit. This is not gonna go very well. I can already sense it. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. I can already tell. We going to hell. Sheesh. I need some gum or something. I'm too hungry already. We ain't even started. Y'all. Here we go. Ba-da-ba-ba. Hello, sunshine.
What up, mamas?
How are you?
I'm great. About yourself?
I was feeling like shit. I don't feel like shit anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
I don't know what we're gonna talk about. If that's okay with you. I don't
That's
ever
totally
come
fine.
prepared.
Nah, I'd definitely be freestyling. You feel me?
Mhm. Oh, not you eating. I'm gonna just starve this stream. What's for dinner? Now I feel like I need to get my food
Mm,
so we can all have dinner together.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I've been looking forward to this live since you said you wanted to have it.
Yeah? Why do you say that? That's funny.
Because I enjoy being diabolical. So, you feel me?
You're
It's
gonna
gonna
have to
be a fun
explain
time.
that one. You gotta have to explain that
Oh,
one.
what you mean? So let's be very honest, right? So when we're talking about being diabolical, when we're talking about just really empowering and being empowering, for some reason people don't enjoy that entire sequence of events, and I don't understand it. Nor do I really give too many fucks about it. So once again, diabolical in the sense of like relativity. You feel what I'm saying? Because there are a number of people who would perceive some an engagement like this to be a particular type of destabilizing.
Chaotic I'm here. I just wanted to hear you talk. Listen, when evil collides, I am the goddess of chaos and destruction, and I
Mm.
fully accept that title.
Hmm.
You know,
And real
cause
guys
like
don't get intimidated by shit like that. So you feel me?
we
Do what
can
you do.
we can get into that.
We can definitely get into
Why?
it.
Okay, we can talk about why insecure men are the bane of my existence and why they like target me specifically. Odie, I don't be doing shit on this app but minding my fine ass black ass business, and they be coming for my throat. I can't
the
stand them.
image, the image of a large vagina terrifies a phallic society. So what are you gonna do?
Um, I try not to spit all of that on my fucking table. I'm gonna try to be an adult this stream, but I don't think I can. I can't. I haven't really been able to be serious for shit lately, so please
Bro,
bear with me.
how we gonna heal inner children if we don't let them come out the plate? Like, let's be very serious.
Have you done like reparenting and shit?
I'm working on that shit right now, and it's beating my ass.
It is. That's why my name is so fucking
Emotional
terrible.
damage.
Damage, absolutely, absolutely, bro. Listen,
Boy,
that
what?
shit. I'm reading. What am I reading right now? The fucking what is it? What is it? Adult children of emotionally immature parents. That shit is
Yeah.
ripping my entire fucking soul wide open.
Mm,
Hence, I've been like a moody bitch for
yeah.
so.
We redoing the wheel to change. I'm running it for another month in my book club in my classroom. So hell yeah, we really digging into that the idea of how the patriarchy impacts the masculine and how it is that it creates the wounded masculine, thus, reiterating itself across multiple generations. But so you got to heal the wounded masculine.
Both the feminine as well.
Oh yeah, 1000%. Because once again, like, so when it comes down to, because I think a number of men mistake frustration and anger for lack of empathy. There are women who lack empathy, but if we're going to be very honest, based upon just psychology, which is the study of observable human behavior, um, black women marry black men 3 times more than black men marry black women. So if we're looking at it from that perspective, I can't sit up here and be like, oh yeah, this X, Y, and Z. Like, brother, we are not exhibiting the correlative behavior. We're not. We're literally not creating spaces of safety and stability for black women. We're not. So if you want to sit here and argue with me, go back and forth, that's cool. Watch your tone. But at the end of the day, understand that what it is that you're saying systemically, I cannot support. If I could, I would. But if I can't, I won't.
So how does that tie back to reparenting yourself?
It ties back to reparenting yourself based upon how it is that we as black men identify or see black women as this enemy when very much so they are just a very real reminder of how it is that we've been harmed once again by our own fathers or by what it is that our fathers did not do. So it's this whole idea of a number of black men either have a father wound or a mother wound, and either one of those wounds can contribute to the destabilization or the inability to be stable in a community with a black woman, because the perception is either she's going to ask too much of me or she's not going to appreciate what it is that I've been doing. This comes from a parent wound. It just so happens to exist within a black space. And it just so happens that black people tend to exist in spaces where the destabilization of the home or the destabilization of the body exists. Because we as black men have this tendency to once again be around other black men who champion the destabilization of the body as a martyr to some type of cause, you have to reparent yourself away from this idea that you have to beat yourself into some type of submission, or you have to constantly talk to yourself as if though you are not shit. That comes from the masculine energy that existed around you that intergenerationally was told that they were not shit. You have to reparent that voice that says that you are not shit. And 9 times out of 10 for black men, that is either a masculine voice or an energy that they perceive to be masculine.
Hmm. Well, fuck. Okay. Did y'all follow that? I did. That makes a lot of sense because there's so many ideas that I have that I would like to spit off, but I don't know if they're gonna come out in like a coherent sequence of words. But hear me out. I always think about like intergenerational trauma. Like I'm a family systems nerd, like through and through. Like healing generational trauma comes with healing the fucking family, right? So
Hmm.
I like to think back when our people were enslaved, and how mothers would have to talk down to their children so the slave masters wouldn't select them or wouldn't sell them or wouldn't rip them away from their mothers, and how that internalized mother wound has like transcended even to now with mothers tearing down their children so
Hmm.
they don't appear to be as great or grandiose or like talented when we actually like really are. um you know how like compliments from black mothers sometimes seem backhanded? That's where that comes from. So I really like, I never thought of it so deeply like in that way, but it makes a lot of sense. How just like intergenerationally, like epigenetics, that shit's in our DNA,
Yes, it is.
and we literally have to reparent a generation that, let's be completely fucking honest, weren't really parented
No.
in the first place. We were raised by cartoons and the internet.
Yes.
So, because we didn't have, at least, well, let me speak to my experience. We didn't have a stable, like, nuclear family, Like, it wasn't
Hmm.
mom, dad, and, it was, a lot of black families are very, like, deconstructed,
Well,
you know?
let's be very honest. The concept of the new, well, this is me from what it is that I've learned, because how it is that I've learned psychology has not been from a Western Eurocentric point ever. So my master's program at FAMU taught me psychology from a purely Afrocentric perspective, and we
And see, I
utilize
went to
white.
PWI, so
Hmm.
here we
So
go.
the nucleic family The nucleic family is an imposition of white supremacy that dictates that there has to be man, woman, and children, right?
Mhm.
The African family has always been extended. Always. There is no quote unquote nuclear family because the nuclear family exists in dynamics with the extension, right? So if you have mother, father, and children, whoever is within that mother and father's family becomes your family. So the nucleus, we perceive the nucleus to have a hard edge when, in very much so, it's a space of osmosis, right? So things
Mhm.
travel across that membrane. If that's the case, then how can we identify the man, woman, child as the ideal family dynamic when, in a lot of ways, it's not representative of the parent as much as it's representative of that full being there, right? So, for example, let's say that we have a nucleic family. You do have a man, a woman, and a child or children, right? I grew up in a two-parent household. My father was always present. He was emotionally absent, right?
It's neglect, yeah.
There we go. So once again, in that nucleic family, is that the most advantageous thing all the way around? That's questionable. That's debatable. That's one. Two, if that's the case, if that's questionable or debatable, then in this society that we have here, can we not debate the quote unquote universalism or the quote unquote sanctity of the nucleic family? So, in other words, how useful is it actually if everybody in this nucleic family is not healthy within this nucleus, right?
Well,
Because
that's
of the
why
nu-
I'm all
Go
about
ahead.
like healing the family system,
There we go.
Like I've always firmly believed it takes a village, like it
Hmm.
wasn't just off of like my mother. Like I was primarily raised by my grandma and my great uncle. So I had
Hmm.
these like really like upstanding black men who took care of the women in our family.
Right.
And but they still had their own like relational blind spots that create like those generational traumas. My grandmother, who was a caretaker, passed on that caretaker, like I guess, nature or behavior, which is people pleasing, which gravitates towards narcissistic partners. So you have to know these things generationally in order to sort of like break difficulties within these relationships. But yeah, no, I've never believed that like it takes just like a man and a woman to like raise a child. I've always believed it took a village, but you know, we were ripped from our like soil. So how do you, even if you think of that like principle, taking someone from their soil, from their actual magic, how do you expect them to rebuild even generations later?
Hmm.
You know?
Hmm.
So it had, you're absolutely right when you say like, how is it advantageous if there are unhealthy partners within the relationship? A lot of fathers are emotionally absent, and that's
Yes.
just as bad as physical abuse, you know,
Mm.
psychologically. So um, it's a form of neglect, and children who grow up in those neglectful like households have the internal identity that their needs don't matter because they're constantly trying to meet the needs of those around them. And so this is like all things that are coming up in like my reparenting as well. So it's, you know,
Hmm.
like woo woo all connected shit. Like
Hmm.
um it creates insecurity, it creates self-esteem issues. So reparenting, I think yourself can help you within like understand where you are within your family system and how you can help your family members in their system as well,
One
even
thousand
though
percent.
some of them might not want to change, you know. So then what do you do with that, someone who's stuck in their trauma?
Mm, so there are a couple of things, right? Because I want to speak to the whole idea of reparenting. I think that a number of men get locked into their trauma because they cannot identify themselves as a parent. And what I mean by that is that
Mm,
there's this idea that the only person who is the raiser or the nurturer or the endearer is a woman. So I externalize this job to women. Not only that, if I attempt to embody this type of divine feminine energy in order for me to become more gracious and more patient with myself, I feel as if though it's zero sum. I am now losing masculinity in order to go on this type of journey. And it's very interesting because you ask this question of what do you do with somebody who's locked in their trauma? You can't do anything about it because they're the only person who has the key,
right.
right?
I mean, we know this as
Hmm.
clinicians, we know
Hmm.
that.
Right? But ultimately, as people, we as clinicians we know this, yes, but as people we still get fucked by it.
I guess a better question, how do we raise the consciousness to bring people out of that like pre-contemplation stage of change? Like, you know what I mean?
No, I understand. I understand. And I guess the best way is to, well, in my experience, the best way is to show them how it is that this cage or how it is that this process of thought does not bring them any closer to the them that they would like to be.
Thank you. Jesus Christ. Is that so hard? It's just like
Mm,
do some inner self work so you know how these systems of oppression are fucking us.
mhm,
Like collectively, like everyone across the board, white, black, indifferent. It's
mhm.
killing all of us quickly.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of men don't want to admit that the patriarchy is a system of oppression because that means that they would have to admit that all the times that people told them that they were being oppressive, that they were correct.
What is it about not letting black women be right? What is that?
Mm, mm, for me, honestly, if you want me to be honest, and I
I
like once
always
again,
want you to be honest.
there are a number of things associated with it. So let me speak from multiple perspectives. On one end, you have the reminder of not being black women. For a number of black men are reminders of how it is that the patriarchy and white supremacy have harmed them. Right?
Oh, I know.
That's
When you
one.
say that shit out loud in your
Hmm.
octave, it makes me want to fucking cry.
Hmm. Right.
Sorry, continue. I'm not gonna interrupt anymore.
It's okay. That's one, but also two, a number of black men don't like admitting that they're hurt, which removes the emotional vocabulary of identifying when they're engaging with black women who are actively harming them because of their own internalized either patriarchy or their own unhealed trauma. Black women being right for black men, for a lot of them, stings them because they don't have the emotional intelligence to resolve how to move away from that
Mm.
genuinely. So it's like, I know that it hurts, but I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just gonna like put it back down. Nah, you hurt because one, a hit dog is gonna holler, but also two, a hollering dog can teach itself how to stop barking. Move out of the way and get hit. Because if you sit in the same spot, you're gonna keep getting hit. Move out of the spot.
I agree.
1000%. So there are a number of black men who, once again, because of their own trauma, have this internalized belief that I genuinely like cannot do this, or you are reminding me of what it is that I have not done, or the mistakes that I have made, that because of the systems of oppression that exist, I now have had options very much so removed from me. That's fine. Can you regulate your emotions enough to come up with a creative solution, black man? Can you identify within yourself where that harm comes from, how it is that this woman is reminding you of that harm? If you decide to stay in the relationship with this woman, regulate yourself enough to communicate to her what your plan is in order for you to stabilize your environment so that you can continue to give not only yourself, but what it is that she's looking for. And usually, if y'all are coming from a similar background, she really don't want that much. She just wants for you to know that you are going to stabilize yourself and her. If that's what y'all have decided on, that's how you regulate that. You still have to learn how to evaluate where it is that you are hurt, what it is that you are going to do about it, lay out that course of action, and then follow up with that course of action. That will remove 80% of the issues that we have with black women right now.
Very rarely am I left speechless,
Mm,
but you
it's funny
seem to do
because
it every time.
it's funny. I'm about to say it's funny because it happens to me quite often. So
Huh?
I said it happens to me quite often. So
You're funny. Where the I don't know what to say because that yes. Can I give you this might be too personal of an example, but I have no boundaries, so
mm,
I'm working on it.
I'm gonna say
Uh,
we got to work on that,
to give
mamas.
you a better example of what I think you're speaking about specifically
Mm-hmm.
is I do a lot of work around my parental relationships,
Mm-hmm.
specifically my father.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, father wounds, father wounds, father wounds.
Oh
Um,
no, because I'm waiting on somebody to say, take a part of this live and be like, see, she got daddy issues, nigga.
oh
Y'all
yeah,
do
no,
too.
I know this. I know this. I love
Y'all
my
do too.
father dearly, but I don't speak to him, and so
No,
we
no,
have
no.
our own.
Me
Yeah,
too. So once again, let's talk about it.
yeah. So I realized through my own personal work and therapy that I tend to put men. This is fucking crazy. What is this? This is so unserious. That's terrible. What the fuck was that? Anyway. So exploring through my like relationships or whatever, I discovered that
Hmm.
I put men who give literally bare minimum nothing on a pedestal. And
Hmm.
this is something that I've a behavior that I've continuously done, which is normal for children to think of their parents in these like grandiose roles, like, my dad is a superhero and this and that or whatever. But
Yep.
then the reality of the situation is he's a fucking deadbeat and has never been a part of your life. And you keep waiting for him to like show up
Hmm.
in different iterations. And the same thing happens within romantic relationships
Yes,
where you're
ma'am.
giving everything, but you're getting nothing in return. So it's the same father wound over and over and over. We could get into my mother, but that's a whole different. She's just a very intense, fierce woman, and I'm gonna leave that at that. But that's on the father side,
Hmm.
So I see my fear of like rejection, of like abandonment through my relationship or non-existent relationship that I have with my father.
Mm. I'm
Yeah.
finna take that and I'm gonna rustle it up a little bit because once again, I feel the energy of the men's somewhere trying to like validate bullshit.
Hmm.
I firmly believe that a number of black men find themselves in relationship with toxic black women who tend to become quote unquote liabilities through infantilizing themselves because they are reenacting, attempting to be the present father that was not there for their mother, who had way, way, way porous boundaries with her son very early because she was misplacing the love that was not for the father into the son. So basically, a number of black men become the villain in stories where they were attempting to be the hero, but they did not have the amount of resources in order to be the hero. The reason why they're doing this is because in their mind, that's the way that they affirm their masculinity and become the father that they did not have when they were younger. So, this is what I mean by this. The way that I see a lot of relationships with black men, specifically with black women, it becomes a relationship where they feel as if though they are being parented. But the
Hmm.
relationship began as you being attracted to the things that she could do that you could not.
The nurturing.
The nurturing. Right. And then you say, I want to learn how to do this for myself. And the woman begins handing you the tasks to become more emotionally strong. And you reject them because you feel that these tasks are feminine. Or you reject them because you did not see any men around you who employed these same strategies. Or you reject them because you've watched the men around you who employ these strategies get pushed away. Or you don't employ them because you are too afraid of being harmed because you employed them when you were a younger man and you got harmed by a woman who was probably weaponizing the patriarchy against you. For whatever reason, it becomes a resentful relationship because this man is unwilling to be vulnerable and to be patient with not only his partner but himself in learning how to, once again, reparent the wounded masculine that was harmed by the weaponizing of the patriarchy that taught him that being vulnerable was wrong.
That part. Feel your feels, man.
Indeed. This is such an unserious thing, bro.
I'm gonna edit it out, I promise.
This is so unserious, my G.
Y'all can't take shit seriously.
Nothing,
All
boy.
right. Yeah, no, repairing your inner child. Do you look at yourself in different iterations of your life? For example, you at like 5, you at 7, 14, 85. Like, what would like grandpa you speak like wisdom to baby you who just fell off a bike? Do you ever like think about that, or that's like too woo woo?
No, I understand what it is that you're talking about. It's almost like temporal projection. I used to do that. So like in the song Window Seat, Erica Badu said, I'm rocking forth I'm rocking back and forth between here and hustling. It's basically that whole idea of time traveling between where it is that you are and where it is that you would like to be, and then utilizing that projection in order to give yourself now the most ideal version of what it is that you would like to grow into. I understand that completely. Um, and I heard a quote by Neil deGrasse Tyson that says that you can't intuit infinity because we literally do not have the capacity to do such a thing. So when I get too caught up in things of that nature, I just perceive it as my higher self. I tend to collapse it into just a me that's pretty much like 2 to 3 up to 10 years into the future. I identify that as my higher self, and then I have a conversation with it to reparent the versions of myself previous that I feel are manifesting the hurt at the time. So to make it more clear, there are times where I will be in my space of projection or my space of meditation, and I will call forth my higher self, and whichever self is feeling the hurt that it's feeling, I will bring that self to the forefront, whether it be adolescent Big Will or whether it be 7-year-old William or whether it be, you know what I'm saying, undergrad Odie, what have you, undergrad Hezekiah, wherever it is that that hurt is originating, I have them both sit into this space and exchange this conversation so that I can come with a more resolved and a more mentally, emotionally, and physically sound answer, I guess.
I think you can push further, but that's just the therapist in me.
Mm,
You can go deeper than that. You
mm,
can.
Explain.
10 years, and because this whole black men not being able to see themselves past a certain whatever the fuck drives me crazy.
Mhm,
Y'all cannot see yourselves in old age for nothing. And the
mhm,
fact that like there's so much against the black man, like the fucking police or white supremacy or every fucking thing else.
mhm,
Leaving your house as a black man, I can't fucking imagine. Like, I literally told myself I can't be with nobody because I can't worry. My care is too deep and too like, please don't fucking leave. Please don't go anywhere. Please stay home. Please text me when you get there. Please be safe. Be safe. Be safe. Like, it's too fucking much to fucking deal with. What is my point? What is my point? What is my point? Was my point. Because you guys have so many things limiting your lifespan, which is a fucking crazy thing to say.
mhm.
Like, a lot of black men don't see themselves that far into the future. They don't see themselves being past 35, being 40, being like having like 20
May
fucking grandkids. They don't see it
May I
because
tell you something really quick?
yeah.
Just really quick.
Sure.
I feel where you're coming from. I do. I used to work with shorties like that, and sometimes, at times I used to have the same. I used to have the same issue. Like, actually, that was the predisposition to my mental breakdown in grad school. Like, I literally had a dream that I was being surrounded by police officers, and I'm not gonna say what was going on because it's gonna get us kicked off the joint. But yeah, it was a real
I
fucked
got
up
you.
dream. Yeah,
Same.
it was a real
I
fucked up dream.
yeah. That happened to
And
me in
then
real life.
yeah, and then from that shit, I was just like, yo, there's a deep sense of like me not surviving past a particular point. And then once I got rid of that fear, now I'm kind of concerned about not necessarily like being like sought out, but some of the things that I be thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, I'm trying to figure out how to like run nations and shit and really
I'm
like
definitely on somebody's list.
like on shorty, cause like this man, listen, if I let me keep talking about Iran Contra the way and how I'm linking it to black masculinity, somebody gonna get with my ass.
You see, they suppress our shit. Well, they suppress my shit all the
They
time.
definitely suppressed my boy. What? Man, I'm not coming back to TikTok until my second season drops. Then I'm just gonna start you know what I'm saying, repurposing shit. You feel me? Because I got mad long form. But altogether, I understand what it is that you're saying. I
Yeah,
have
circling
absolutely
back.
no issue, no issue with seeing myself beyond the age of 40, 45, 50. But usually when I'm thinking about myself in these ways, it's in spaces of like large leadership or spaces in like where I really have the ability with other men and other people to impact the community at large and do it in such a way where not only I'm just actualized, but multiple other people in the community are actualized. And for a lot of black people, visualizing something to that degree is scary because when it has happened in the past, it has been intercepted by angry Peckerwood men. So, with that being said, I can understand where that comes from.
I there's a you probably heard some shit or what I'm alluding to. There's a stages of like development in terms of like racial identity,
Yes,
and you
Cross's
reach
theory of negrescence.
thank you. You reach a point where you're just like nuck if you buck. I don't give a fuck, and I feel like it's like the very revolutionary spirit, where
One thousand.
I hear you. Well, yeah. As to not be put on any more lists further, we will segue into another topic.
But
Um,
do I care though? I'm concerned about the safety of your body. So yes, we can say.
listen, they want to cut my fucking head off, and I just said go to therapy. Okay, shall we? I'm not gonna go too deep into it because I'll fucking start crying, and I don't want to do that. I'm having a great.
Yeah, because then if you start crying, I'm gonna get mad all over again. They're gonna try to ban me from TikTok again. It's gonna be a
We don't
whole
want
thing.
that.
Yeah, nah, because I don't think I ever told you like I I was hot for like a week and a half, and during that week and a half, Bree, I swear to God, I got like anywhere from like 3 to 6 community guidelines violations.
They took my shit multiple times.
Yeah, yeah, motherfuckers was
Uh,
going. I was going. I was so upset. I was so so mad.
She like
I
to
was
process.
like,
Let's process this
ooh,
anger.
like y'all some bitches. Ah, cause I had to call one of my homeboys. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm from Chicago, right? And we use the term bitch quite freely. That's the reason why I don't like being called a bitch, because you ain't relax. But also, once again, if we from the land and if you being a bitch, bark, motherfucker. Like, so every time I'm talking to my home, but I'm like, hey, let me tell you what's going on, my boy, because I'm gonna tell you why I'm hot. So this woman said X, Y, and Z, and she said it in such a way that was culturally aligned. Whereas if two men were speaking to one another on the street or anywhere else for that matter, like these thousands of motivational videos that basically have the same energy, right? He's like, yeah. I said, I bet. She say this on the Woo Out the Bam, and then motherfuckers is coming at her neck like that shit was sideways. And then he was like, well, who was it? I was like, bro, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was just black men. And we found out it was black women too. So everybody was just jumping down her throat. And she really didn't. He was like, bro, what did she say? So I sent him the video and I was like, bro, and this is what I said in return. I feel like y'all a bunch of bitches. And he was like, well, they being a bunch of bitches. And I was like, all right, so nigga, you feel me? Like, stop trying to play me sideways. And then the whole conversation about respectability politics, I'm like, y'all are a bunch of dickheads. Y'all realize that respectability politics is literally an extension of white supremacy. So you are literally saying to this woman, she got a shucking job. You should be doing X, Y, and Z. Do you realize how oppressive that is? But you gonna turn around and say the reason why you got fired is because you black. Shut the fuck up. You are talking about two sides of the same conversation, but you're trying to literally weaponize on one side and then victimize on the other side. Bro, stop playing. Like, pick a side, my boy. Pick a side. Pick a side and stay on it. Cause you can't, bro, you can't how can I say this? You can't be upset that you're getting victimized by white supremacy and then turn around and weaponize white supremacy against a black woman. That don't make sense to me. It don't. It does not. Which is the reason why I keep telling people like, yo, you cannot be anti-womanist and homophobic and pro-black. You can't. There's no way. There's no way. Unless the pro-blackness that you are utilizing is pro-black Americanness, and that's a whole nother conversation. Right? Because the reality of the situation is a number of us as black men, a number of us as black men are utilizing 19th century Victorian era gender roles in order to supplement our masculinity. It is white men's masculinity painted black. Fuck with me. Please do.
I
Because
just
I'll
posted a
sit and I'll argue.
video where I said that black men who do not know themselves align themselves with white supremacists. You notice
They
white
do.
supremacists, they don't have to speak anymore. It's coming through these like hyper alpha male podcasters who do not know their identity or don't know their heritage or don't know their lineage or where they came from,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And I feel like if you knew where you came from, you wouldn't be talking as fucking reckless about black women holding the black community down or black men this. Can we
A
all just
number of
like
these black men
collectively
out
realize
here
shit?
a number of these black men out here, and I've said it before, a number of these black men out here are racing to be the biggest, baddest buck on the plantation, and they don't even realize it.
Because I'm trying to free these niggas and they're just like, nah, we get lunch.
We get three hots in the cot.
It's Stockholm
Not even,
syndrome
not,
at
not
its
even a high quality, not
mother
even a high quality
fucking
lunch, bro.
finest.
Three hots in the cot.
Stockholm syndrome at its finest, and I hate to see it because it's internalized self hatred projected onto me, a black woman. Because if you notice that article, nobody else got dragged. Nobody. Nobody lost their job. Nobody. Me. I lost my entire livelihood that I've worked a decade for.
Somebody asked me, what does black masculinity look like? Standing in the face of white supremacy unflinchingly. That is what our ancestors did. That is what our predecessors did. And where we as black men got turned around, literally, historically, is the period between the 60s and the 80s. Because what happened is, in sequence, the United States started shipping out factory jobs, which a number of black men utilized in order to support their middle class families and fund the civil rights movement. So even if you wasn't out there, you had the money to give it to them. One. Two, the government did COINTELPRO, which splintered not only just, not only just the Black Panther Party, but also the Nation of Islam in particular ways where we would not continue to arm ourselves and mobilize ourselves against the police and continue to do our own community policing. Two, three, they utilize the CIA in order to give us, i.e., Snowfall, what it is that happened in the community, thereby switching up our need for community implementation with our need for money and masculine assertion. Three, four, record companies began pumping out more gangster rap instead of the conscious rap that was becoming popular around the 80s at the same time that all of this was going on. So, a number of us, once again, now, as black men, our masculinity mirrors the type of masculinity that is absolutely necessary, the type of behavior that is absolutely necessary to continue to give the government excuses to throw us in jail. We are not making it hard for them to catch us. That is what black masculinity is. Black masculinity is having such deep knowledge of self that you understand that this is a chess game and you are a black king on this board.
They're afraid of you, in short. Don't be pussy. You lost your identity, and they know this. Black men have endured the most severe form of narcissistic abuse I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, and you must recover from it. You must learn your identity because this is what that looks like. Hello? Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack. He was definitely
No, you good.
on a
You
fucking
good.
roll.
You good. And
All of that.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something real crazy, right? Because it's very interesting. So I'm doing a lot of research in the Bible, the Quran, in the nation of gods and earths, all that.
Mhm.
And what it is that I'm finding is that supreme mathematics is a type of numerology that, so first of all, let's talk about a couple of things. One, when we talk about numerology, when we talk about these spirit sciences, a lot of the spirit sciences that we talk about descend from the Kemetic kingdom. That's one. Two, I'm not saying Egypt, I'm saying Kemet. Kemet extended from the Delta region in Egypt all the way down to what is now currently the Sudan. That's the second thing. The third thing is this. If anybody says that the black races did not contribute, they're fucking idiots. The concept of race did not exist until the 1600s. Therefore, there is no such thing as race, or there was no such thing. These communities were Tartarian communities, so they elevated beyond these types of things. It was not necessary in order to subvert other people. So that's one. Two, as we are talking about numerology, the most recent iteration of a numerological basis of how it is to identify oneself or orient oneself in the universe is the nation of gods and earths, and they utilize supreme mathematics, the numbers 0 through 9, in order to create freestyles based upon the numbers that are existing around them and within them. So this alignment was very heavy. It's actually when people say "What up, G?" or "Let me break it down," that's 5% of language, right? "What up, G?" means "What up, God," right? You understand what I'm saying? So this language, this lexicon, is very prevalent in our society, but we don't know where it comes from. Why? COINTELPRO. They threw Clarence 13X in jail based upon not jail. They threw him in a sanitarium. Why? Because they said he had schizophrenia. Okay, irrespective, once again, he created an entire nation of people who called themselves gods and earths based upon this breakdown of what it is that they call mathematics. Now, if you watch uh, uh, the Wu Tang story in American Saga, right? Yes, and he says, "Peace, God. What's today's mathematics?" If you know how to break it down, so for example, today's mathematics is wisdom and God all being born to born, right? So if we take the idea of the wisdom of God and we understand that God is not a this, that, or a third, but it is a person, place, or a thing, it can be any of these things because we exist in a consistently vibrating universe. And if we understand that from, or understand that from a musical perspective, if we stop this record, then the music stops playing. We have to continue to let the record play. We have to continue to let the cipher go in order to born ourselves into the understanding that we all have pieces of God. Therefore, we are all harmonious on this earth and in this cipher. Peace, goddess. You dig what I'm saying? That's a freestyle that's based upon a numerology that is iterated within the black community. We don't know about it because we don't look for it. We don't attempt to decipher what it is that we were hearing in those bars at the time. And this was once again firmly between the late 80s with big, you know what I'm saying, Rakim, Eric B, all of them, all the way up into Neo Soul, where you have Common, Erica Badu. If you look at this genre of music specifically, and you learn all of how it is that this language is actually encoded, you recognize the video Love of My Life. right? It outlines everything that happened in the hip hop chronology as it relates to not only just how it is that we are creative people, but black men's identity in the struggle specifically. Yes, we as black men have lost our identity as gods because we have been turned around and pushed into this triple darkness of believing that the false masculinity that we chase is the idol that we need to internalize, and it is not. Ain't no such thing as a spook god, shorty. So you trying to idolize yourself as God keeps you lost. You are a God, but you are not the God. Humble yourself and understand that even if you are a divine masculine, if you are a part of this divinity, you still have to bring around structure. You still have to bring around follow through. You still have to bring around evaluation of the self and of your environment. If you are the black man, the number one representative of God, representative of the star, that means that you still have to lead the way forward, and you have to also simultaneously make sure that your fire, your light, your shine does not go out. And the only way that you do that, the only way that you do that is continuing to allow yourself to shine in balance. No other way to do it.
I mean, why am I here? Y'all don't need me.
Lies,
I'm just
lies.
gonna
We'd
leave
always need
them to
nah,
talk to you.
nah. Mm-mm.
You're
If
ask.
you leave, we
I
gonna have a
mean,
problem.
yeah. What do I say? What do I say to that? I weep for the day that the black man truly is able to tap into the power of himself and the actual magic that we have to change this whole bitch. But we can't even get like basic. It's just, it's so, there's no foresight. There's no caring about other people's emotions. It's just self-serving, me, 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 me. I need to like scratch this itch, so I'm gonna. I feel like we're so far from that, and it's really heartbreaking. Um, because I see like glimmers of light when you like speak because you're like speaking life over people, and unfortunately a lot of people won't see that. And I feel like with the situation with me, yeah, I'm like, I'm a fucking hood bitch. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I went to school so I could speak as freely as I want to, and if
Hey
niggas
man, quit
understood what
playing.
the
We
fuck
all
I
at the end of the
said,
day,
like,
we
what
all
are we
reform hood
saying?
something, bro. Most of us
Like,
is all reform hood. So like quit, bro. That's what I was trying to say. I be like, bro, quit playing like we not from the same neighborhood, nigga. Stop, stop. Like y'all butthurt about shit that we talk about all the time, bro. All the time. I call my roommates a bitch on a regular basis, and they call me one too. Stop playing.
it's out of love. It's out
Like,
of,
bruh, y'all
and I
hurt.
can
Y'all
just,
hurt. Y'all hurt because y'all hurt. Y'all hurt because y'all
and I
hurt.
see that, and I see it, and hurt people don't like being seen because then you have to do something about it. Then you have to do something with it. And you said
Hmm.
something earlier, like if you don't have the faculties or the facilities to do that shit, you put it down. I have personally been put down by so many people because they don't have the emotional equipment to handle this emotional ass bitch. You know, they just don't have the equipment.
I
And that's
understand
okay.
that.
But the thing is, I was saying you can learn these things. These are
Hmm.
things you can develop. It's not like, oh, I don't have the equipment, so fuck me, I guess. No, like I didn't have it either until I went to therapy. Like to be completely fucking honest, I didn't know what counseling was until I was in my master's program. Please don't ask me why. I was just doing a lot of shit. But we found our path. Doesn't matter. So I didn't enter counseling, like my own personal therapy, until my second year in my master's program. Shit completely fucking changed my life. That's where I learned the core of healthy relationships was in therapy, not in graduate school to learn about how to give therapy, which is insane.
Hmm.
That's why I'm saying everyone needs to go in order to learn how they function within a relationship, what they need. I know I need somebody that's incredibly attentive to my needs because I am not. I will fucking fall out in a fucking grocery store doing Instacart because I'm worried about bills instead of eating. small things, you know what I mean? Like, but you
Hmm.
learn these things through self development. And my whole thing was if we just all do a little self introspection, we can learn how we all collectively contribute to the collective consciousness, and then maybe some shit will start to change.
Yes.
But I'm a big picture bitch, and I don't know if I'm a very like macro system, like let's look at the big picture to see where we can like initiate some systemic global change for good. So our children do not have to continue to suffer like our ancestors did. Like, and we are now. Like, let's be completely fucking honest. I can't think of his first name. Last name Belafonte. He just passed yesterday, I
Harry
think.
Belafonte.
Yeah, like
Yo, what up, Joy?
I saw a video of him speaking, and he's saying the same shit. I firmly believe racism is a white people problem. We
It
cannot
is.
fix these systems that y'all have created and put us in the shackles of. We can't do shit about it.
Our job,
And
it's
I
not our
just
job
saw a
to fix
video of
it.
him saying the same thing, and that was how many years back? We're saying the same shit.
It was not designed to be fixed. It was designed to be improved.
Mm.
Listen, 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 listen.
I say my personal stance before you get real celestial, burn the whole bitch down. We know these systems are doing exactly what the fuck they're designed to do. Lock niggas up and keep them in this fucking cycle of oppression. We know what this shit's for. It's doing exactly what it's meant to do.
Right.
But
But
can't
see, I'm a little different. See, because my own this thing, I don't want to ban anything. I want to let them have it. Here's my thing. That's too much energy. That's too much energy. See, if I know that your motherfucking ass, see, sometimes I think of really funny analogies for things. I'm a nerd. I'm a blurred. I play Pokemon, right? There's a Pokemon called Voltorb, and its evolution is Electrode. Both of these Pokemon have a move called Self Destruct, right? Now, Electrode has a white top and a red bottom. It's the reverse of a Pokeball. And every time I look at it, I just think to myself, why does this look like an American based grenade? It just does. And I think that's always been the funniest thing in the world to me. Because I don't think people understand how far like Caucasian folks will go or white folks will go to prove their supremacy, right? Now, I don't feel like dealing with all that none of that shit. I really don't. Like the black folks who want to stay here and fight, more power to them. Me,
I wanna go.
I did Japa. I'm going somewhere. I'm not
Do you
staying in
have
this
dual
place.
citizenship?
Hell yeah. What you
How the
mean?
fuck? How so? I was taken. How do I get one? I swear I'm not joking.
Uh
I want to get the fuck out of here. I'm
oh
couldn't be more
yeah.
serious.
Find a country that has the easiest petition for black
I know
Americans in the six
Ghana.
region. Right.
Ghana is
So
like, hey,
just
come
find
back.
any one of those countries, petition for that, and then over time begin involving yourself in the infrastructure of that country and how it is that that country may be moving away from American interests in order to engage itself in more facilitative infrastructure projects. As a person who has the American dollar that can still facilitate that over time, you would literally be divesting from it because you would be pumping money away from the systems that are causing people back home this type of ruckus and into systems that they could potentially invest in order to build and say, hey, until they get ready to come over or until they not, it doesn't matter. Just creating a system or a space where in which we exchange not only just power, information, but also wealth. So altogether, it's something that's happening right now. As I said previously, we as Black people in the diaspora are part of the sixth region of the African Union, and we do have rights under the African Union. So once again, oh yeah, hmm so yeah, literally, it
That
literally
might
if
be a
you,
side
hmm
conversation.
oh yeah, oh hell yeah, like motherfuckers really don't know. Like I've met like I have a mentor that Exodus or I'm sorry, he didn't, he Exodus, he went to Mexico. I know some other people who went to Mexico, other people who went to like different parts of the country. So it's very much so something that you can do. And I think that we as black people, once again, we do have this messiah complex similar to white people, which is unfortunate because we as black people derive from people who do not have a messiah complex. Rather, they understand how it is that intention creates outcomes based upon how it is that you engage with your environment. Right? This is the reason why the Odu with the Odi and with the Odi in Ifa, the Odu are not they are not something that has to do with making you feel godly. It's a set of instructions, right? It's something. There are things that you have to work towards in order to create a particular outcome, right? So there's no such thing as KRS One says the revolution comes to those who revolutionize themselves. So if you're not willing to revolutionize your thought away from the capturings of white supremacy, you will never escape that plantation in your imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, white people are a non-factor to me, sincerely. Like white supremacy is a laughable concept to me. How
It
is it
makes
that?
no fucking. It's literally. Listen, as a behaviorist, it's narcissistic abuse. It's
Yes, it is.
baseless. It's media. It's white people are able to cancel Bud Light or Budweiser or whatever the fuck they're be mad about because of the privilege they live in. Niggas is getting shot like dogs in the fucking street, and y'all are shooting cans of beer. This is where we've come to.
Mhm,
Y'all are still hanging niggas in trees. This shit is fucking insane.
mhm,
And y'all are canceling because, I don't know, white
mhm.
mediocrity and the privilege has given them such comfort that they become so just like, I'm oppressed. And
Oh
it's
no
just
no no!
like,
Wait! Hold on! Cause see, I'm gonna fuck you up a little bit. This is what bothers me about once again black folks, specifically black men, in this idea of like being quote unquote like soft or being quote unquote gentler. We're gonna wade into these waters because once again, the alphabet homies, I have a huge amount of respect for them, sincerely. And I like to say that like in a lot of ways, we as black people do not understand the very firm intersection of blackness and sensuality and sexuality because we have not been given that space. That's one.
mm-hmm.
Two, niggas really think that LGBTQI people choose their sexuality over their culture or color. And I'm like, do you not know anything about alphabet homie politics? None. That's the reason why when I say alphabet homie, I'm clearly referring to black people, and when I say LGBTQI plus community, I'm firmly communicating about the white individuals who hyper politicize themselves in that way to constantly co-opt oppression from groups that are actually experiencing oppression at the hands of white supremacy.
Like feminism.
So when we talk about this, whole idea of like, bro, when we
It's
talk
the
about this
white
whole idea of like
savior.
the agenda or like this X, Y, and Z or like, oh, you know what I'm saying, they trying to demasculate the black man. Okay, so first of all, the demasculinization of black men, I understand that it happens in media, but that's because once again, it's a projection of white supremacy. So if you hyper concern yourself about, so I think Maya Angelou said it. It was either Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni, or Toni Morrison. But one of them said, "Why would I spend my time arguing with white people about white supremacy? Why? It removes the energy away from me doing what it is that I need to do in my blackness." And I said, "Of course, a black woman would say that.
That's a bar.
That's a bar. Like, why am I
That's
going
a
to
bar.
argue? Why am I going to argue with you about a delusion that you have to adhere to in order to exist?" As a
Whoa, the
behaviorist,
fuck?
as a behaviorist, we know that the further you try to pull somebody from a cognitive distortion, the more violent they become. This is the reason why white men be unaliving people at such large rates because we are currently ripping them from their internal delusions and they don't know how to take it. The issue is that black men is getting ripped out the shreds in the same way because they're so adhered to white masculinity. Decentralize that shit. Come back into your divinity and your balance as a black man who understands that the feminine is not above, below, behind, or in front, but operates in tandem and in balance with.
Strengthens. They are intertwined.
Like nigga, you have estrogen in your body, bro. Like, oh
Like you
god.
literally produce it. It's
Oh
nut
my
gas.
god, bro. Like, oh my God. And this is the reason why, once again, white supremacist science, the
Makes
white
no
man science
fucking
will have
sense.
you, but then when we talk about the white man science, like this is the reason why it gets me kind of upset. Because we get into this space of like quote unquote the white man science, where there are some places that it's debatable, but y'all be debating the wrong places. Like y'all just be debating the wrong places. Like y'all follow once again these white conspiracy theorists. Like y'all literally follow white conservative conspiracy theorists. Y'all allow them to shove a black puppet up your ass and get to talking to you, talking through you like this. No, 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 no. This whole idea of, you know what I'm saying, anything that has to do with incorrect gene and like all of these things, that's the poor focus. The sciences that we need to be focused on are the sociological sciences that indicate that your self-actualization is a direct threat to the stabilization of civilization. Why are
Can
we
we
not
talk about
debating
it?
this science?
Can we talk about it? Can we get into
Why are we
Maslow's
not why are we
hierarchy of
not taking the
needs,
time?
please?
Why are we not taking the time? Oh yeah, because if we really want to get busy, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is
Thank you.
co-opted from the Blackfoot tribe. So the entire hierarchy of needs, that's actually at the bottom of the indigenous pyramid. Self-actualization is step one. Then it goes community actualization, and then it's cultural actualization. Self-actualization is step one.
Eurocentric everything is so
Everything.
self-centered. It's so get away from the community, get away from the village. It is all about you, me, this me. The meanness is destroying us. It takes a village.
Because that's not where we come from. That's literally not where we come from. So think about it. Think about it. Think about it, bro. Black people on average share more meals. On average, we share more meals.
Listen, I'm a slut for a plate.
We
Sorry.
share more meals and we cook in, and we tend to cook in larger quantities. Why?
Yeah.
Because
Community,
we are communal people.
family.
At some point in time, we were in some space where we had to share not money, not currency, real resources. This is the reason why people are, oh, the dollar's going. I don't concern myself with that shit because black people come from spaces where we always gonna get what we need. How we gonna get it? So at some point, if the dollar really does fall through to somewhere, hey, we gonna figure out a way to get it.
We always do.
Somebody somewhere gonna have to plug on Bitcoin, and we gonna be straight.
Our existence is an indication.
1,000%.
We figure it out.
But black men do not internalize that ingenuity. Black men do not internalize that tenacity because we have learned that it is dangerous. We
Hmm.
have learned that it is dangerous. My mother came to me and she asked me based upon what it is that I have been learning, researching, because I've been like this for a minute, my G. She was like, William, I want you to look at all of the people who you are admiring, idolizing, and learning after, and I want you to tell me where they are.
Hell or jail. I say this shit all the time. I say this shit all the time. All these prolific fucking podcasts, whatever the fuck, where they at? Hell or jail. You need to pay attention to the shit that you are ingesting. You
But
need to
hold
pay
on.
attention to if people are speaking life over
But
you.
pause, but pause. But the people who I was idolizing were not anybody who was like on that rah rah shit. When I say idolizing, the people who I idolized growing up, Huey P. Newton, Dr. Martin Luther King,
Heard
Malcolm
you.
X. You
Gotcha.
understand what I'm saying? So reading
Ah,
all of
I
these things,
know,
yes,
I
right?
know. I
So
hear you. On somebody's
on
list. Yeah.
either side, right? And even if I start knocking down the women, you know what I'm saying? Um, Angela Davis,
She had to get
fucking
out.
like once again. So we're looking at all of these different factors, and we're saying, I didn't learn about the move bomb until a couple of years ago, but even still, it's like, yo, on a community level. There were a multitude of things that show to black men. J. Edgar Hoover said, black men need to know that a black male revolutionary is a dead man. Like and that is exactly what COINTELPRO did. That was the point. That was the point. So once again, they have now turned all of this energy inwards and then have mixed everything up to say, oh, y'all are fighting against each other, y'all are warred. Like, no, no, we're not. No, we're not. We are fighting over literally the ability to sell a product that was shipped to us by the United States government. So why not sell it back to them?
Hmm.
But once again,
I
that's that's
just
that's that's me. That's me being on super snake mode. Because once again, yeah, that's me being on super snake mode. It all
uh
comes down to this decision.
what decision is that?
Are you truly going to allow your black male or man self to identify with the masculinity that white supremacy has given to you in any shape or form?
That sounds painful because it was not designed for you, sir. I just have an ick with thinking about how we were considered property to people at one point in time, and we still do. I feel like black intellect, culture, creativity is feeding culture,
Hmm.
and that's robbed, and we're not compensated for these things. And it's just like, how do you heal that? How do you get away from that like rage of seeing like, so let me back up. So in my undergrad, I was an art minor, and I my emphasis was in metalsmithing. Oh, I can fucking show you what I'm talking about. That's Thank you, Spirit. So I was entered in our student art show or whatever, and I did a piece on identity because I started creating shackles. Do I have one in front of me? I might. I'm sitting at my work desk. I don't know. Anyway, I started creating shackles for jewelry pieces as a way to reclaim identity, and I would adorn them with different words just as a way to, say, fuck you, bitch. We've survived. So I made this gigantic collar with slave posters on the inside, and I won Best of Show with this piece. It's fucking massive. I don't know if you can like see on the inside,
I
but
can see
this
it.
was a mechanism that when slaves or enslaved people, excuse me, uh, would take food, they would put this metal apparatus in that had like metal spikes, and so they couldn't eat or whatever as a form of punishment. And the fact that I stand here living and breathing today, able to talk about this shit, gives me a sense of pride in our like cultural resiliency. But I don't necessarily have the anger anymore. It's just like, how could you see these human atrocities happen and then see people who look like people who endured these atrocities and do nothing about it? The white moderate, if you will, is that's a concept that is very like I just because they're going to stay in their comfortability of their whiteness. Because let's keep it a buck. If I was in that fucking realm and comfortable, just like, I'm in my privilege and my supremacy, I'm, reaping the benefits of all these systems. I'm not gonna break that comfortability for someone that we didn't even consider to be property a couple years back. Why are you infringing on my rights that we took and just wrote up one day? That I have trouble sitting with that. And
I
that's
don't.
coming through my own like personal like y'all really
I
like fucked us up.
I, I really I really don't have any trouble with that anymore. And like I said, like
How did you get through that is my
a
question.
year and a half of learning purely from an Afrocentric perspective. Genuinely,
Mm.
like I'm going to be very honest with you. My master's program, I thank Spirit, God, Earth, everything in the world and the universe for it. The reason being is because once again, when I say to myself and to other people that white people are a non-factor and I do not give a
You're
whole
not
flying fuck
joking.
about white sensibilities, I
Not a
don't care.
flying fuck.
Not a flying fuck. I don't. I don't give a damn about white sensibilities. And the reason being is because they are based on a fucking delusion. That's one. Two,
You're right.
white moderates are infuriating because they are the equivalent of intellectual gluttons, right? They
Mhm.
feed themselves on the access to the awareness of the world without having to trouble themselves to move. They are the best mental masturbators, and I don't really feel like messing with that stuff, right? Because this is all just very much so nothingness. It brings me absolutely nothing. I say
Hmm.
all the time, I do not hate white people. I hate whiteness. I got plenty of white homies who do not subscribe to whiteness. Similar to Huey P. Newton, it's not that everybody was in. It's not that everybody was inherently racist. You just got to show me that you ain't sugar or salt. That you are who you say you are.
Thank you.
Like I come from a people who say if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And I'm not finna. I say
Hmm.
I say to people constantly, my bias and prejudice against white people is not illogical. It is very well affirmed, and I will not sit here and argue with you about it. You can argue with me about your bias and prejudice against black people when you have 400 marked and documented years
Because they
with
wrote
a
this shit
hundred
down. The
with a hundred
vanity.
yeah, the
Like,
vanity and the
what the fuck?
self-assuredness. Like that's the other reason.
The hubris.
You are arguing because you do not want to be associated with your uncles and cousins and them who wrote this shit on the fucking wall.
They was proud of it.
Like, bitch,
They was like,
it's
look at what
right
we did.
here.
Look at what
It's
we did to
right
these
here.
people.
Like you like, yeah, that happened, but look at no. Fuck that. Look at this. Look at what bitch is in your books. It's in your you are literally fighting against the way for you to absolve yourself of racism by teaching more racism. Make it that's the reason why the stuff that's going on in Florida, like I'm real irritated about it, but it's more so of an intellectual thing because I'm like, bitch, you really believe that putting out these laws is gonna make people stop talking about this. You're an idiot.
That's true.
You and the people who are voting for this are a bunch of idiots. If it's one thing that you can't stop black people from doing, is talking. If you stop black people from talking, you know what they're gonna start doing? Singing and rapping. You this is gonna backfire terribly. No, it's gonna be Kodak and it's gonna be all the niggas from Florida. They're gonna be making Kodak and like I cannot wait for Kodak to release a diss record against DeSantis, even though Donald Trump released him from jail. That is gonna be on my 2023 bingo card. What I was not expecting, boy. They was like, oh, you can't have fraternities or divine nine. Like, you really think you really
Y'all
think
think
that's
they
gonna
not
work?
still about to step?
You
Y'all
really
think
think
they
fam? You
not?
really think fam? You gonna let that shit pop off, bro? Do you the Florida State Capitol is literally like 10 minutes from FAMU, if that. Come on, son. Come
It's
on.
giving. It feels like they're trying to convert this shit to Gilead, and that's why I need to get the fuck out of here. It's like they can deal with it. They can have it. They can
You can
have
have it.
the
You can
dumpster
have your
fire that
delusion.
they
You
robbed.
can
They
have
can
it.
have it.
You can have your
You can
delusion.
have it
You
for
can
sure.
it very
You
much
got it.
so. Because by the time, and this is the reason why sincerely people are talking about the dollar collapsing, and it's like, no, it's not going to collapse, it's going to deflate. But the reason being is because the rest of the world no longer sees the United States as an asset because it's allowed itself to fall prey and victim to its own delusion. So, in other words, the United States is so concerned about parading itself as the top country that it stopped doing the work to become a top country. And the rest of
But
the
it never
world recognize
was.
that. But that's the point. That's the point. At one point in
The
time,
narcissism.
no, no, no. At one point in time, it generated enough GDP to call itself the economic powerhouse of the world. It no longer can do that because the amount of debt that the United States has outsourced to other countries based upon trying to supplement white supremacy, it has now crippled itself under that same debt. Literally. That's literally what happened. White people
So
outsourced white supremacy.
how do I survive? How do we make it? Where do we go?
You can
Where's
either
safe?
leave, one, or two, create enclaves in the United States where there are communities that quite literally, how can I say this? Utilize the United States and pay the taxes that are going to be apparent in the United States in order to invest in trade overseas.
That fucked me up. You might have to repeat that.
So based upon the way that it is that trading and banking and global economics are going right now, you could literally live in the United States and technically like not be a citizen of the United States,
Yeah.
right? So you could live in
Hmm.
the United States and spend all of your time outside of the United States. As long as
Right.
you have a piece of property here that you pay taxes on, it could literally be a dollar plot of land that you pay somebody to mow, and you can live as an expat anywhere else in the world as long as you pay that tax and you're debt free. The United States holds people. The only reason why the United States holds its citizens here is to be in some type of debt slavery, in debt debt indentured servitude. If you can pay your way off the land, they'll let you leave.
Oh, fuck. Well, I have a lot of student loan debt, so I'm stuck.
Mm,
Ah. Anyway, yeah, money confuses me.
mm, I don't know if it confuses me as much as it is now. It just kind of strikes me as monopoly because that's how everybody else thinks about it.
It doesn't make sense. They can just make this shit up and be like, okay, just kidding, and then you lost your entire life savings. What?
But once again, this is the reason why for me it's like I love the way that sometimes my brain does things because for me now economics is a game. Like it's literally a game. It's the way that my brain conceptualizes it is almost like a giant game of Monopoly with
I hated that fucking game.
like a piece of like Dungeons and Dragons because there are probabilities, there are things that randomly pop up, and there are parts of the journey where you can select what it is that's going to go on based upon what you have to your disposal or in your inventory. So,
Sounds like
what?
The Sims. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, well, all of this shit
Niggas,
is a
niggas,
fucking
niggas
simulation.
played The Sims growing up, and it fucking shows. I
All of
played
this
The
is a
Sims growing
simulation.
up. You
So
gotta
play it like
fucking
a simulation.
yeah,
When you
like
get tired, fuck it. Say the game and go to bed. All this nut ass shit gonna be here tomorrow. No none of this
all
shit
of
matter
it.
for real. Oh, you talking about XYZ. Bitch, the way that it is that you perceive your masculinity has to do with subverting somebody else's humanity. The fuck, like you don't even make any sense. So no, I'm not gonna subscribe to what the fuck it is you talking about. I'm gonna do whatever it is that the fuck I want to do. So once again, if all of this shit is a simulation, and at some point in time, we all went through a character select screen to put together our fucking self concept. We can return to that character select screen, go back to our self concept, and continue redoing that shit until we figure out whatever the fuck that is the most comfortable. And on top of that, if you decide to increase your skill sets, then do that. But by all means, ain't nobody playing this shit right. That's just an element of the game to try to prove to other motherfuckers that you're playing it right, so that you can decrease your anxiety about potentially playing it wrong. I don't have time for this shit. Fuck y'all. What, bro?
That's insane. I quit playing.
Your instruction manual is literally based upon where it is that you pawn or spawn geolocation in the world. You get an instruction manual that's very similar to a tome or to a fucking sacred text, and that sacred text gives you a platform on which to create your entire worldview.
I'm so sorry. Somebody said hit the reset button. Same. Hit that motherfucking reset button.
You said if this is the Sims, I need to shoot the fair one with whoever got the controller. Then you
Listen,
might
I
need
need
to
that
you
mother load cheat hitting my bank
you might need to
account
shoot
or
the fade
whatever.
with yourself, my boy.
Oh Jesus Christ! That I'm so sorry. I tried.
Tease.
So
I said become stay in the United States and invest overseas. So literally, the United States operates on a system of debt slavery, and if you can pay your way off the plantation, they will let you pay your way off the plantation. But in order for you to maintain that quote unquote American citizenship, all you really have to do is be a land owning taxpayer. That's all they really care about. So get a plot of land that costs less than like $50 a year to fucking support, beautify a neighborhood, and leave.
get the fuck out.
Or create an urban garden and leave. Or create or turn a building into a hydroponic farm and leave. And then grow the actual fruit in the other places where the land is much more arable and actually much more accessible and it costs way less because it's pennies on the dollar and send the seeds back to the United States.
You sound like you have a plan
I always have a plan.
for everything.
Not
I
everything, but
don't. I'm
most
freeballing
days.
this bitch.
Hey, that's a
My
fun
nuts is
thing too.
out swinging everywhere. I'm just
Hey,
winging it,
jam
and
out with the clam out.
I somehow, God, I somehow got here. I'm not complaining. Anyways, do you have any questions? I don't know. I feel like I've been asking you questions all day. I don't. No.
No,
Oh, okay. Well,
no, ma'am. I don't have any questions because, quite honestly, like, actually, I do have a question. How are you?
fucked up, but I'm trying my best.
Mm,
Emotionally destroyed most of the time, but I'm trying my
mm.
best. Exhausted, but I'm trying my best.
Have you eaten today?
Very little, but yes.
Mm. I need you to eat more. Are you
Everyone
hydrated?
keeps telling me this.
Yeah, I
Whether
don't
I
need
do
you
it,
to.
you can lead a fucking
Mm,
horse, but I'm not gonna drink.
I'm not doing either one of those things.
What?
I'm reminding you that you get thirsty
I've been
and
drinking
that
this
you need
whole
to drink.
time.
Okay, so thank you for your
Sorry.
cooperation. I appreciate
Okay,
that.
sorry. You're trying to be nice, and my fear of masculine energy is like, no, go away. I
It's
apologize.
okay.
Thank you
It's all right.
for
It's
your
okay.
concern.
Um,
I'm too self-aware. It's
it's all right.
annoying.
It's okay. What are you doing to relax?
I'm not gonna put that on the internet.
Duly noted. We appreciate it.
Listen, I just had a conversation with my therapist that I need to up my coping skills because they're not fucking working anymore. I'm
Mm,
like very depressed, if I'm like really honest. I like try to think about like the anniversaries of things.
mm,
And this is a really hard time after my brother died, and my body is like really feeling that like heartbreak and that loss
mm,
and that grief.
mm,
So, yeah, we're
mm.
coping. On
Okay.
top of like the soul crushing pressure of being a content creator and being in the public space while being a complete introvert. It's a lot.
Mm.
But I'm alive, so
This is always a blessing. So, may I?
what?
May I
Sorry.
give you
I'm so
some
sorry.
feedback?
So
It's
sorry.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is hard for me.
No, no, no. It's okay. Once again, I don't play around with consent, neither I play around with communication. So I'm going to ask you before I do anything.
Oh,
So,
fuck. Here we go.
with that being said, you don't owe us shit for real.
Why do I feel like I owe everyone everything? And I feel like I'm
Because
not doing a very good job.
yeah, no, fuck us.
But you guys have given me so much.
I know we've also taken a lot from you. So at the same time, it is still
Please don't say
within you.
that. Please don't say that. Please don't say that. Please don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't do it.
Mhm,
Don't. No, 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 no,
mhm,
no. So I don't like talking about myself.
mm. This is also the reason why I allowed you to talk.
Sorry, I'm trying to suck it in right now. I'm doing
Mm,
my worst. Why do you say that? Why do you say fuck y'all? I feel like this community has sustained me in ways that I cannot articulate. And I am like,
mm,
this like gratitude or like, I feel like I'm indebted, like,
mhm,
and it's like kind of killing me, if I'm honest.
mhm,
I'm really fucking tired. God,
mhm,
I'm always fucking crying. It's so annoying.
mm.
But yeah, that's how I'm doing. I literally told this bitch Blue that I was not gonna fucking cry. I can't even be true to myself. I am true to myself, and hence why I cry all the fucking time.
Yeah, and that's the reason why when motherfuckers like, oh, she's X, Y, and Z, I be like, no, y'all bitches are just emotionally constipated. Y'all get on my nerves. Um,
It just comes out. I can't keep it in.
so what I'm going to say, I'm just gonna say something very simple. When I say fuck us, I don't mean in the sense of rejecting what it is that we've given. When I say fuck us, what I mean is taking your rest when you see fit. Because if the people in the community have given to you, they also recognize when you need rest. And sometimes people will call for your rest. Allow that rest to flow through the people who give to you in order to protect you from the people who are trying to take from you. That's what I mean when I say fuck us. Because some of the people who are interdispersed and the people who are attempting to give to you are also attempting to take away from you. And that's probably what you are carrying. And that's the reason why I say fuck them. Because, and I'm always gonna remind you of that. Because once again, niggas are operated from delusions and people attack what they do not understand. You are an enigma. You are something that is beyond the level of understanding. Therefore, you are going to be under attack. That means that you need to rest, mamas. That's what that means.
I hate you.
That's okay.
I don't like when people are nice to me. Trauma is a bitch. Okay. Do you see how visibly uncomfortable you being just a kind human being to me is making me? Do you see
Mm.
this? Jesus fucking Christ. Why do I feel it's trauma? I just feel like I need to give and just like soothe the world's hurt and pain and not really give a fuck about my own.
Yeah, me too.
Helping professionals, what you gonna do?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's the reason why I be going so hard for us, because it's like we already exist in a space where we don't receive that a lot. You feel me? So within our community, for me, I feel like it's sacred because we can remind ourselves to, take that rest and like put that burden down. Because although we have, how can I say, although we have been given the ability to regulate that or the ability to manage that, it doesn't mean that we're always obligated to pick it up. That's unfair.
Hmm. I feel like I feel vain for thinking I could like, I don't know, undertake shifting global consciousness. But part of me feels like I already did. I feel like more people are talking about emotional intelligence now than they were 6 months ago.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with it because see, here's the thing.
But
The
I
the
lost
very
some very soul crushing relationships. So that's where that, like, when you said you've lost so much, yeah. Some
mm,
very deep client relationships with people whom I loved very much were just, and that shit, still hard to sit with.
oh yeah, oh yeah, 100%. And I think that that's the part that people miss. It's like they don't recognize that and I'm sorry, I have a very like terrible fear of my lips being ashy. Um,
It's okay, because I definitely lathered my shit before I got on
what
here.
boy? Super black all the
Hey,
time.
niggas is not about to get caught slipping. What are you
Man, it
saying?
don't matter. I got eczema. Y'all can
I
catch me
gotta be
slipping.
fucking lotion.
Man, listen, you can kiss my ass. I got eczema, so sometimes
I'm
niggas
like
is
a
gonna be slipping. I don't give a damn.
fucking honey bun.
But
Sorry.
not a honey one, boy. That's hilarious.
Listen, you gotta be
Um,
moisturized.
yeah, but it's
Sorry.
like, I like, ah, deflections with humor. Fantastical. I
Oh, I'm
love
a
this.
funny bitch. Listen.
Oh, hips. What? The people who have endured the most trauma are usually the funniest people.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to deal with it somehow. What? Smokey Robinson say, tears of a clown when nobody's around? Yeah, it's crazy. Out of pocket. But yeah, you definitely have to be delusional in a lot of ways in order to once again push
I'm
against the delusion.
fucking psychotic.
Oh,
Ah.
I know that I have some like not necessarily narcissistic tendencies. No, I do have some narcissistic tendencies, but also
No.
delusions of grandeur. Oh yeah, that's my thing. Because in my head, what? Don't let me get a hold of too many people who want to start a political party. I have created elaborate plans.
You.
Right. So once again, I carry that with me to say at one point in time, the people, I think it was a quote by Elon Musk, and he said that the people who is either Elon, one of them super hyper capitalists, a broken clock is right twice a
Fuck
day.
that
But
nigga.
they were like, what did they say? They said the people who are delusional enough, the people who are delusional enough to believe that they can change the world are usually the ones that do, right? Now, that's a very power deep statement, but I understand where it is that it's coming from. And in a lot of ways, you have to allow yourself space to be delusional because once again, the reality within which black people find themselves existing in is already a fucking delusion. So who are you to tell me what's a functional delusion and what's not, dickhead? So if I
Some
find if I find my
therapy.
delusions in blackness instead of white supremacy, then by all means,
Oh, that's
I'll go
cute.
cuckoo
I
for
like
cocoa
that.
puffs. I'll go cuckoo for cocoa puffs every time.
Fuck that.
Cause life cereal is just not as good. I'm sorry.
That's terrible. Well, you know, please don't ever ask how I'm doing ever again. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I got a couple of friends like that. It's alright. I'm a learn one day, but I'm never gonna learn. I
Like
just
I
won't ask
said,
you,
please
and
don't
I just
ever
won't. I
ask
just
me
no
ever
no.
again. Thank
I
you.
will. I will. I just won't ask you in front of people. But I'm always gonna ask you how you doing. That's something that you're never gonna take away from me. So be prepared.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I didn't ask how you were. How are you? It's just been about me. I'm so sad, depressed, blah, blah, blah.
Ah, I'm doing the best I can for the sake of man. I'm trying to learn how to move into 30 gracefully while also feeling as if though I don't have the guidance of my father because he and I are not speaking right now based upon me holding him accountable for something that has been a core trauma of mine that has created spaces of like imposter syndrome, really trying to regulate just concepts of the self, identifying how it is that I engage in relationships is like my own trauma versus relationship trauma, how it is that at times saps compassion from me, just a whole bunch of different things, all while at the same time still wanting to achieve my personal goals, my financial goals, my health goals. So I'm once
That's
again
a
at any
lot.
point in time, yeah, at any point in
That's a
time,
lot.
but I don't doubt my cognitive capacities to manage it. It's
Well, no
just
shit.
once
Nobody
again,
does. Nobody does. But are you able? That's a lot of shit you just named off. It made me
hmm
tired listening to that.
hmm
I'm just kidding.
yeah,
No, it's a lot.
one of my
Before
homies was
30,
like,
aren't you like changing? Aren't you like converting, transcending, falling out of
yeah,
relevancy pretty soon? Sorry. That's just what people think when you turn 30. I'm just like, no, that's when shit gets fun. I don't know yet. Haven't approached it. How does it feel to approach death? I don't know. Sorry.
hmm,
30.
interesting.
For me, it feels liberating. And I still got a couple months. I still got quite a few months. And my level of not giving a fuck about what anybody thinks is already just like, and so we just gotta like shake the remainder off. And I'm really gonna be a fucking problem?
I think that I have to accept and forgive myself for allowing so much of my personality to be driven by what other people thought or think, and
That part.
allow myself that space to really expand into the person who I was meant to be for myself first, and really just freeing myself into different understandings of myself outside of what other people believe to be me or what they believe that I should be. Altogether, really just like giving myself permission to be the me that I want to be for me and not for anybody else. But also like dealing with the anxiety of what that really means because a lot of times when I think about that, I think about the people that I would have to lose or the things that would potentially change for me and how that would create different realities for me. And although I'm quite adaptable, um change that is generated from inside of me at times can be daunting.
So, are you excited? Because it
Yes,
sounds
in a
like
lot of
you're
ways.
going in with grace. And
I'm
I feel
excited in a lot
that.
of ways. Yeah, cause like I know I'm gonna be a, I like I'm a cold motherfucker now. Once I start
Oh no, what happened? Oh no, our table, it's broken. Sorry, are you back?
no 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 crying. Yeah, I'm back. No, my timer on my phone, yeah, it did the thing. But no, like real talk, it's like I know that I'm gonna be a bad motherfucker, but it's like I know that the baddest version of me is also the most unapologetically graceful version of me. So it's like for the last, I think during like my late 20s, I've really been healing my masculine and reconciliating myself with what it is that that means from the perspective of not necessarily not wanting to be like my father, but learning and embracing the parts of myself that are more like my father that I'm willing to admit, and then healing from the perspective of really just accepting that for a lot of my life. Instead of allowing myself to be myself, I was responding to the trauma of not being the me that somebody else wanted me to be because I was afraid that I would either get rejected or left. So ultimately, the apprehension or the quote unquote fear that I'm dealing with now is the fear, or rather the discomfort of allowing people to leave based upon how it is that I am deciding to grow.
Letting go of abandonment.
Yes.
That shit's a motherfucker. Does it ever go away? Do you ever that
Mm,
whole oh my god, everybody I know and love will leave me? That fucking sucks. Cause same,
mm,
same.
I don't necessarily, but that's the thing. Like for me, it's not a band. Like I don't necessarily believe that people will leave, and that's the fucked up part about it. I just feel like people will stay and consistently reject me because that's what the fuck my dad does. Like the nigga never left. He
Oh
just stays around
shit.
and constantly rejects. Like, yo, so the last time I cried, bro, like it's fucking insane. The last time I cried was when my mama told me that I like cause my dad did some real like in my mind some like real reckless and like not African shit. Some
Uh-huh.
not Igbo shit, so I was finna call him on it, like on some like, no, you really finna, we're gonna talk about this. So I called my mother because I know my father that he has an avoidant personality.
Yo, that's fun.
And
That's
yeah,
a
an
fun
avoidant
one.
attachment style. Anxious avoidant, if I want to be more specific. But I called my mama. I was like, "Yo, put him on the phone, because I know he gonna. My mama not gonna put herself in the middle of that shit, and she's never gonna argue with nobody." So I was like, "Fuck it." So I called him and I sent him a text message on the text and on WhatsApp. And if you African, you know about the WhatsApp. So you know if I text somebody on that WhatsApp this thing, they are going to get it. They go there get them. Like there's no way that my man did not get that text message, bro. No way, right? So I called my mother the next week. I'm like, yo, did my father get my phone call? She was like, yeah, he was watching the phone ring. And when she said this to me, like it took everything in me to not like go ape shit. She's like, yeah, he was watch. He watched the phone ring and said he didn't need to answer the phone. I was like, noted,
Rejection. Fuck.
noted. You dig what I'm saying? So for me now, it's like how that then manifests in relationships now is like once again I can kind of feel when I've gone from secure to my anxious avoidant attachment style or like my anxious distant attachment because it's like I begin to feel more impulses of me doing something wrong, thus this person is going to like reject. So then I begin questioning more like, am I doing this right, or am I doing this okay? So I kind of regress a little bit. So in those areas, I'm saying to myself, how can I continue to evolve? How can I continue to heal, or how can I continue to identify how this is impacting me being a more unyielding, unbounding, and thus holistic and full me?
Hmm. Thy most complete self. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Are you okay?
yeah. I'm reading the comments, one, but also two. I'm just like, whenever I'm like in that space, it's just like breathe. Cause
Yeah, take a
listen,
deep breath.
man,
It's a lot.
I be, cause for me, it's like, and to be quite honest, that's the reason why I have the tone that I have. Not, and I was thinking about it the other day because I'm like, yo, is it just with black men? It's like, no, it's with black men and black women. Black men just tend to equip it more than black women, but both of us tend to equip it. And this idea that I'm going to, and it happens in this sequence a lot for me. I'm going to project an expectation onto you, not communicate that expectation,
Ah,
and
Jesus.
then when that expectation is not met, create a truth that I'm going to punish you through based upon not meeting an expectation that I did not even verbalize to you. So, in other words, I'm going to punish you based upon a reality that I created that I did not express to you. I
I
can't
have to
stand that.
disagree on that one. Well, you said when it comes to both men, I have to, can I? So, from a woman's perspective,
Mm,
I am very communicative of my needs. I'm very like, this is what I expect, like human decency, or you to show up where the fuck you say you're gonna show up, or respect my time and my attention and my energy. So I
mm,
do place these like expectations, but I also communicate those. And so
mm,
I give people the opportunity for them to demonstrate to me whether they possess those. What the fuck am I saying? What am I saying? What am I saying? What did you just say? Jesus. I just lost my whole motherfucking. Fuck! What did you just say?
expressing a need or projecting an
Thank
expectation that's
you, thank
unspoken.
you, thank you. As I'm talking about my effective communication skills, I feel like I always like communicate my needs to. Well, not always. I'm getting better with communicating my needs and my expectations with people, but it's just like I find with partners that I've like engaged with is that they set the expectation themselves by posturing themselves like, oh, I can give you this time, I can give you this attention, I can give you this like whatever, I can give you a family in 5 years. They sell you on the prospect of this idea that you know is ideal in your head of like a
Mm,
nurturing, caring partner, but they
mm,
don't do the like legwork. So it's just like my dad like, oh yeah, like I'm your dad. I get to show up and like, hey, high five, congratulations on your masters, even though I haven't been present 27 years before, but I'm your dad, so like I should be in this like position. And so when I realized this, I was doing the same thing in like romantic relationships. Just because you're a man, you're supposed to just like already be on this pedestal, and you're already have like when expectations are not meeting reality, in my experience.
hey, hi, I'm an individual who has experienced a number of hurts and a number of failed expectations in a relationship or in a dynamic that was very similar to that. So, what I then respond to or what I then say in response to that is it's not the expectation, it's the psychological response to the emotional response when the expectation is not met.
Devastation, heartbreak. That's hilarious. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Unserious, right? Once again, devastation,
I
heartbreak.
was like, wait,
People
what did you
like
turn
it's
that on?
yeah. I
Wait,
looked up and I'm like,
what?
what is going on?
Jesus, sorry.
So from my experience as a man, right?
Hmm.
What usually happens in that space is I we hear you didn't do X, you didn't do Y, you didn't do Z. You're correct. I did not do X, I did not do Y, I did not do Z. Now, the implication is that it was done intentionally. It was done in spite of you. So in other words,
Hmm.
I did not meet this expectation not simply because I did not meet it or not simply because there was something else that occurred. I did not meet it because I wanted to harm you in some way, or you are not important. That is a large emotional burden that is not my responsibility to unpack. Neither is it my responsibility, being very honest, neither is it my responsibility to soothe. What my responsibility is to show up in such a way where I can, in my mind, in a relationship, I can show up and come to you in such a way where I communicate the obstacles that I'm having to bringing you or meeting this need for you. Because if you are expressing this need to me, or if you are pedestaling me, because I've been in situations where I've been pedestalized, and what usually happens is that that whole you're supposed to, or you're supposed to, or this is common, or this is like, no, that's a lot of expectations and that's a lot of assumptions of what it is that you believe a man is supposed to be, or you believe is a man is supposed to do. That's a projection that if I don't meet, if it's a projection that if I don't meet, there's a disappointment and an emotional response that is usually traumatic. So in other words, when I don't meet your need, your response, it validates your emotion, and usually it is a trauma response that can be triggering to that man. Because I've been in a number of situations where I did not meet a woman's expectation, and then her emotional response made me not want to try to do it again, because in my mind, if I don't meet the expectation, you are going to lose your shit. And a lot of women do not see that as us recoiling from a trauma response. There are a number of men who have been emotionally, physically, verbally abused by their parents, and women responding that way is a trauma response. I used to get screamed at all the time about screaming and hypercriticism. If you cannot identify how it is that those two things make me not want to meet this need for you, fuck you. Because that means that you are trying to project your expectations of my masculinity beyond my personhood. And on top of that, you are now punishing me for not meeting the expectation of your projection and not my reality. That is unfair. And that makes my scrotum retract when women behave that way. So what you are saying is that because this man did not meet your need, whether or not you expressed it, your emotional response up to property damage, up to verbal abuse, up to verbal assault, up to physical assault, all of these things are acceptable simply because he did not meet your need. I think that's bullshit.
Absolutely not. Did
There
I
are a
say
number,
that?
no, but there are a number of women who believe that that's a fair thing to do. Because
Absolutely
once
not.
again, because once again, men are not seen as emotional creatures. They are
I
seen
just
as
wanted to be
men
clear if
first.
I said that or
You
not.
did not, no, 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 you didn't say it. You
Okay.
just, once again, that's just a very slippery slope for a number of people, because when I talk about it on my platform, they perceive it as going tit for tat. I'm like, no, you are not humanizing that man by identifying how it is that your emotional response to your need not being met may be a trauma trigger for him. Therefore, he don't want to meet your fucking needs. Why? Because you don't know how to self-soothe when they're not met. So you end up becoming a trauma trigger. You end up re-traumatizing that man.
I understand what you're saying, but on the inverse of that, men not following through with expectations that they have agreed to is a trauma response for a lot, or elicits a trauma response in a lot of women
I
who
understand that.
have not had, who literally have to be hyper independent, who have to be
I
hyper
understand that.
masculine because they have to do things on their own. They do not have dependable partners.
I do understand that. And I am speaking for the gentleman who, because once again, in these conversations, we tend to revert to, and this is where I begin to say a number of red pill men have valid points. They just drench them in misogyny. There is a tendency to not give space for the men who are actually attempting to communicate and grow alongside women who re-traumatize them. We do not make space for those men. And I'm not saying that it's an absolute, and I'm not saying that it's completely correct. What I'm saying is that a lot of times we are disingenuous in these conversations when we are having this dialogue about what it actually takes to have a healthy and loving relationship. Because for me, I do not enjoy the presumption that because women are more emotionally descriptive, that means that they're more emotionally intelligent. One, and two, I don't enjoy the idea that with men, just because they don't holler, it means it don't hurt.
Hmm.
So it then comes down to this whole idea that once again, and even in the Will to Change, Bell Hooks talks about how it is that we really don't have an archetype of giving space to a wounded man because we do not have great experience with wounded men. Because whenever we see men with wounds, our first response is to tell them to get up. Is to tell them that yes, but once again, like we talk about the mechanics a lot. No, what I am saying is that just as much as there are men who do not communicate, there are men that do and do not get heard. What are the mechanics behind that, and how can we resolve that? Because that is also a component in a happy and healthy communication, in my mind. Because I'll be damned if somebody tries to invalidate or move past my trauma simply because they don't have a frame of reference to understand it. You are going to learn today. But once
I
again, I have
feel
the
like,
emotional intelligence and the vocabulary to say it.
yeah, no, I get it. I feel like we might be arguing the same point
We are.
because on the same, side of the whatever the coin is both sides not feeling heard, needs not
Mm,
getting met, and I feel what you're saying because my primary niche was men, so I gave them the space to be vulnerable, to explore these things. And they would often tell me that their partners do not. So I 1,000% agree with what you're saying. I just think at its core, both sides are not effectively communicating their needs. What are your expectations within a relationship? What are your triggers? You need to know the things that set you off. Like you said, earlier with yelling, I do not do well with that shit. I can't because of traumas that have happened in my past with a mother who just screams all the fucking time. I don't do well with um, people being in my face, being physically aggressive because of past abusive relationships where I thought that was love. So I believe we're arguing the same point. I do believe that men who are emotionally intelligent find themselves in relationships with women sometimes who are not, who do not give them the space and the opportunity to express themselves. Because it's just like, so you want an emotionally intelligent man. Okay, so now you have it. Are you going to listen to him when he speaks? Are you going
whew,
to allow him to process when he's angry? Are you going to be there when he's feeling sad and depressed and
whew.
clam up? Like, men, I've been advocating this entire time, have a plethora of feelings and emotions because we are all what? Human beings.
There we go.
And we all need the space to have our both needs and expectations met. But that has to come through being able to communicate what your needs are. I would not know what my relationship needs were until I went to therapy. I would
Hmm.
not have been aware of how I was allowing people to violate my boundaries by me not like standing up for myself or just letting people just do whatever the fuck they wanted because I didn't care about myself, you know? I had to learn how I function within the world to be able to communicate on how people should love me. I had to love myself in order to communicate to people on how to treat me like a decent fucking human being. And I was not doing that. I was communicating my emotional needs to people who don't have the fucking equipment. They don't. They literally. What's the fucking saying? They don't got the facilities for that big man. Whatever the
Hmm.
fuck. It's literally that. Like, so both sides were saying the same thing.
1,000%.
Emotionally intelligent men and emotionally intelligent women find themselves with people who are emotionally inept and then feel frustrated because we can't express our emotionality because for at least for me it is a huge part of who I am. Me being able
Mhm.
to express my emotions, to be able to sit in a depressive state and really like meditate on how I'm feeling, or be able to cope with the physical pains of grief.
Mhm.
People don't even talk about the physical sensations of emotions.
Nope.
That burning
We
in your
are
gut,
we are
that is a
somatically
physical that is a physical sensation, you
we
know.
are we are detached from our somatic we are detached from our somatic responses to our emotions through capitalism. It's
Yeah,
one of the
like
first ways that we dehumanize ourselves.
we need. I'm big on the mind body connection. My body knows how I'm feeling well before my fucking cognition does. Like I knew physically I was not fucking with today, but physically still had to get up and move and do things that help my mental feel better tomorrow, like taking vitamin D or working out or doing these things. Like what is your body telling you? And I feel like that also translates into communicating in relationships. What is your body telling you in the midst of a person who might not be emotionally safe? Because if you are in tune with your intuition, your body tells you every fucking thing you need to know. Are you able to
Mhm.
relax in the presence of somebody? If you're not, they're probably not safe. Your nervous
Mhm.
system will tell you everything. You just have to be in tune with that.
Mhm.
I don't know how we got from that to like listening, but everybody needs to just give people the fucking space because we're humans and we need to talk our shit without feeling invalidated, without feeling shamed, because we do that shit enough. My internal shame, I do that shit enough. Internal hate, I do that shit enough. I don't need that coming from a partner. Like, I want somebody where I can just be my fucking self. But today, I feel like when you are yourself, that's synonymous with being vulnerable, and vulnerability is weaponized. And as a woman, I don't feel comfortable dating because me being myself is used against me. My natural proclivity to be a caretaker, to nurture, is weaponized for some niggas who just want cheeks. I'm not in that like phase of like life anymore. And you just kind of like grow into honoring yourself more. At least that was my like natural progression because like I said, I was taught to not value myself from my entire existence. So now me like actively doing self-work, I feel like informs me to be a better partner because I know my triggers. I know when I need to back the fuck off because I'm violating my own boundaries. It's a lot. Sorry. It's a
So I'm
tangent.
no, it's really not a tangent because I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna fuck you up. You see everything that you just said in the midst. You said that this core part of myself is being weaponized against me. It's being used against me. Correct?
Mhm.
What if I told you that a bunch of black men are going through the same thing with black women, but because they don't have the emotional wherewithal to express that experience, they just sit there mad. So in other words, there are a number of black men who do not identify that they have been devalued and that they have been dehumanized. So they seek out relationships where they do not have to be more than what it is that somebody else has told them that they are, which is either an object or a cog in a system where they produce money. When they get into relationships that cause them or challenge them to be more than that, it reminds them that they have the capacity to be more than that, but it's also a cognitive distortion. This is a challenge that is going to force me to go inside myself and identify how it is that I've been harmed and how it is that this person is not treating me with the worth that I deserve. I feel like there are a number of black men who are locked inside of toxic abusive relationships because they believe that that's all that they deserve.
Yeah, same. I thought a nigga yelling at me for hours and hours and hours at a time was love because of stick beside him or you're supposed to or ride or die. Didn't value myself, so I was accepting actual hatred
Hmm.
and almost lost my life several times because of it.
Hmm.
So, what do we do? How do we solve this issue of people just
Hmm.
not giving people the space?
I think if we as black men really want to be the leaders of the black community, we have to lead ourselves into radical healing by practicing self empathy. Sincerely. We also have to
Hmm.
understand that everything that is, how can I say this? You don't have to go to therapy in order to engage in things that are therapeutic, right?
This is
Second
true.
thing. The third thing is I feel like we as black men specifically need to move away from this whole idea that just because something is soft or gentle, it means it is not masculine. That's
Yeah.
fucking asinine. It's just asinine. That's the fourth thing. The fifth thing is we as black men, and I'm gonna say this, and there are gonna be a number of black men who gonna rock with me. We need to stop talking to ourselves as if though we ain't shit, just because other people have told us all our lives that we are not some form of shit.
Yes. All of that. So work on yourself so we can work on the collective.
Pretty much.
Moral of the story. Full circle. How do you feel?
I feel good. How do you feel?
Better.
I'm glad.
Understood.
Seen.
Safe.
Secure. And my job is done.
Same. Glad to be of service.
Not service of company, of mutual company.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Is there anything else you need from me before we depart?
No, I appreciate your time, your energy, your presence. If you'd like to plug anything, I guess do it here.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, as y'all may or may not know, I am ramping up for season 2 of my podcast on YouTube. It
Yay.
is called The Antidote. Season 1 was basically freestyle deconstructing toxic masculinity, deconstructing patriarchy, all of those nice things. Season 2, we're going to go into more of solution oriented and solution based things. We're going to give you all more things that you can do, different ways that you can expand yourself, your horizons. We're going to be talking about a multitude of different ways that within your blackness you can decenter white supremacy. Um, and really just laying out different types of things that you can do for self improvement within your blackness, within your most black self. I got a couple of things shaking, so the visuals are gonna be updated. I'm gonna be updated because it's gonna be after my 30th birthday. It's really gonna be spectacular. So y'all come check me out on that side. I also have 2 virtual classrooms. My first virtual classroom is my love virtual classroom. So everything that we were talking about on the live today, I have my love virtual classroom, and if you all follow me, you all know that I've been talking about, continuing to do a Black psychology series, and teaching self improvement and self awareness and emotional intelligence from a Black psychological space. So my love classroom is open. It's been enrolling for the past couple of weeks. If you follow me on Instagram, you can DM me LUV in all capital letters to enroll. Inside of the Love Classroom, it is the book club where we break down particular Black queer femme authors and Black queer femme literature, but also, just other types of literature. But we also, once again, take a hand in Black queer femme literature. It's a also a 6-week course inside of the Love Classroom that specifically focus on self-awareness, conscious communication and relationships. And coming soon, I'm having a Patreon where I'm going to be focusing specifically on Black sensuality and sexuality, taught from a BDSM / power dynamic exchange. Space. Once again, that's coming in September, August, September. And the second classroom is the wealth classroom, where basically I teach emotional regulation as it relates to financial decisions. And once again, I teach that from a Black psychological and sociological perspective. And basically, what it is that I do is I situate personal finance around the Black tax and understanding how it is that you, as a Black person, it is your birthright to be wealthy. It is your birthright to be opulent. So if you choose to engage in more so of a market socialist take on investing, saving, doing your personal finance, then we have that in the wealth classroom as well. So yeah, those are all the things that I'm plugging.
Jesus Christ. Sign up.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You're a busy man.
Mm.
How do you have time for yourself? You don't. I get it. I understand. What
I'm
the fuck
working
do I
on
have
it
going
though.
on? I don't nearly have as much as our king over here. Let's see. We have Sad Girl Hours tomorrow. It's going to be a titty shaking time on Patreon. Please join me for that. I am offering Mari readings. I will open my dates for the May readings fairly soon. Got to get my collective shit together. Let's see. The podcast, the unusual podcast is, I don't know what episode this is gonna be, but it's gonna be one. They want like to know the name of your podcast.
The name of my podcast is called The Antidote, so it's very fitting. At first, it was a nigga with a podcast, but I changed it to The Antidote because my objective is to, clean up some of the toxicity that's in the streets, but also give people, some medicine to help them, dispel some of the toxicity that they may have ingested on the airwaves up until this point. So The
Well, there you
Antidote.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all niggas is sick, and you here to heal y'all.
1,000.
Well, I appreciate all of you beautiful beings of light joining our tangential rant about, I don't know, all of the things and all of the great things. I appreciate your time, your attention, and your energy, my good sir.
I appreciate you as well, mamas.
You are very awesome, and I'm sure I'll hit you up or whatever the
Of course, of
fuck.
course. Keep me updated. As for everybody else, peace, love, soul, butter rolls, good people, great people, guys, people. I'm out. Thank you, Miss Bree.
Thank you.
Love you bunches.
Bye.
Bye
We
bye.
love you. All right, that was so great, guys. Wasn't that like so wonderful and so cool and so awesome and so isn't he just like so cute? Yeah, this is episode. I don't know what the fuck episode it is, but it's gonna be one of them. Um, I appreciate your time, your attention, and your energy, guys. Thank you for engaging in the comments. And you said we ship him. Yes. Wait, me and him. You guys are funny. That's the homie. Uh, yeah, no, I love Mr. Odie. He's been very very supportive of me in this time. I feel like um, he definitely carried the torch in terms of championing the fucking conversation around emotional intelligence in black men. If you don't follow him, please go follow him. He is trying to be a change maker and game recognized game, and we love that. We love a healed, emotionally intelligent, vibrant, beautiful king. Somebody said you can tell he's a dom. That's a different conversation for a different day. Because definitely when he said that BDSM shit, I was like, ooh, might want to get into that. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about more like king shit on Patreon as well. Um, yeah, Sad Girl Hours is tomorrow. I'm totally fucking ass at Patreon. I I haven't written bitches a message, but I hope they know that tomorrow is Sad Girl Hours. Tomorrow from 7, I think 7:30 to I don't know till I fucking pass out. Who knows? But if you can join us on Patreon, that'd be super great. I'll upload this when the Lord sees fit. I don't fucking know. But you guys are very cool and very awesome. And thank you for spending some time with us. And yeah, is that all the things I have to say? I think it is. You guys are wonderful. And I love you. And thank you for supporting me and loving me and being so nice to me all the time. Ah! All right, are we gonna? Is this it? Is this it? Do we have any like closing remarks? How did you? Okay, so how did you guys? End scene. It's over. All right.
Well, dudes, there you have it. I came to see a man about a horse, and that horse was emotional intelligence. I hope you strapped in, strapped on, and rode that bitch. Anyway, you guys matter so very much to my heart, my soul, my body, my being. Thank you for being the light. Thank you for being you. And thank you for being Scooby-Doo. I don't know. You guys are really cool. Shout out, special shout out to my patrons, the inner sanctum of the bad bitches. I love you guys. I don't want to say the most, but it's our little secret. I love you guys the most. All right, everyone. Until next time, remember to be the sunshine. I love you all so very much. Mwah!
So how did you guys like the fucking the today? Did you get something good out of it? Hello, hello. I hope you guys got something great. Enjoyed the talk. Yeah, I. He's a good time. He's a very knowledgeable man, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Loved it. Loved it. Great. I'm great. I'm glad you guys could get some. some positivity out of it. He is incredibly long-winded, which helps because I don't be feeling like talking most of the time. Oh, sheesh. Enjoyed it related so much. Great, great, great. He answered all my questions. I like seeing you and your feminine energy. Listen, I am in my feminine energy all the time. I just, I am a rose with many thorns. Let me say that. Uh, when niggas give you the space and the grace to speak, it's a beautiful thing. It's a very gracious, gracious thing. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, when I don't have people like attacking my frontal and my character, I'm a very pleasant person, I think. No one puts baby in a corner. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, you liked hearing emotional intelligence from both sides? Yeah, me too. I I feel him when he was talking about how men don't feel like they have the space or don't feel like they're listened to, because that was like the common like thing that I would go over with my clients. Um, and I would just help them like advocate for themselves and shit. But yeah, no, that was refreshing. I'm not about to fucking summarize everything we just did, but yeah, that was great. Great, 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 great. Sorry I cried. Not sorry I cried. We got to be in tune with our emotions and all that bullshit. I have to pee so fucking bad and eat. And I just have to take care of myself because I don't. So I love you guys so very much. I don't know when I will be live next. Who fucking knows? Maybe sometime this weekend. I still want to do my Mari reading so y'all can see what that looks like. And I'm also opening up more services than just the three that I offered. I offered the ones that I did just to kind of see where I was at and shit. But yeah, I got a lot of, not a lot, I have enough new things coming for you guys. Yeah. So I'm gonna go fuck off and take care of myself. And I hope you guys also fuck off and take care of yourselves. Drink some water, get something good to eat, and hug somebody you love, even if it's yourself. All right, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. Have a good night. Bye.